Hello, I'm Deb Kais with Stampin' on the Hill. I want to thank you for joining me today. And let me know in the comments if you're watching via replay or if you're watching on the day that this is actually published. I have today is another way back Wednesday for you. We do this once a month, about, I think it's the third week of each month, something like that. So if you're following along, I have it's where I've taken something that I've made or a technique that I've learned or whatever from a long, long time ago, and I'm trying to recreate it using the products that we have current today. So let me show you. This is a card that I made. I can't remember when I made it now. Darn it. Oh, it says right on there, February. Oh, it's probably not. You probably can't see it, but maybe. It says up here, February of 2017. That's when this one was from. Anyhow, this is really kind of simple, but I thought, it's worth showing again, especially because we don't usually use this tearing technique very often. So I had a couple different things that I tried to see if I can split this or not. Nope, it's not going to let me. Okay, so let me just show you down here then, because knowing what those leaves look like in that other one, I thought, well, what do I have that's current? So I had this die from the Daisy set that I can't remember the whole name of now. And so this is what it looks like. And I had picked out some colors ahead of time. Of course, I'm using the fall colors that I know are going to be retiring from the in colors soon. So I've been using those a lot lately. So this is copper clay, and to me, it just didn't take up enough space. This one was a little bit longer and skinnier. And if I was trying to make my card in this orientation with 3 strips down it, like in our example, and this just wasn't going to work as well as this one. So I'm just trying to teach you my thought process. So I nixed the die and we went with the punch, but then the punch seemed pretty bland. So I ended up bringing in the Layering Leaves stamp set that goes with the punch. So this is the bow punch. It pairs with the Layering Leaves stamp set beautifully. So let's see if I can set some stuff aside here. And let's just, oh, well, I didn't do that one very well, did I? One moment while I go get another piece of paper. Okay. Sometimes I'll do something and this one it ended up being scored incorrectly, just a little bit, but enough that it threw it off. You probably can't even see that. But anyway, when I folded it, it didn't fold right. But I had grabbed this right out of my scrap paper, and I threw it in there for some reason and just grabbed it, assuming that it was correct. This one's correct. And we will bring in our bone folder here. I like to come in on an angle with my bone folder because just to make sure that the ends stay together right here. So there's our card. And this one's not going to have an inside. I feel like I love this like craft paper looking cardstock. This is crumb cake, but I love the look of that. So I'm not going to add anything else. But I'm going to, let's start with what other things we're using. I have 3 pieces of, these are 1 3/8 by 5, and this is early espresso. So I have 3 pieces of that, which is going to end up being, here, here, and here, like in our example. And then I have 3 pieces, and these are 1.5 inches wide, and I have 3 of them at 3, 3.5, and 4. And you'll see why I did it this way when we get there. I also have some scraps. Well, I did the bow of the copper clay already, so we're not going to use that one again. But I also have wild wheat, and I brought in some Moody Mauve. And I'm using the black Memento ink for my, this is me again, stamps on both sides of the blocks. So I'm going to use the Memento black ink to put my leaves on. And it doesn't have to be perfectly straight because they're going to get punched out. I don't know which way to go with this. It doesn't probably matter. There's two. I always try to pay attention, especially when there are two images on the punch, because whatever I punch here, this is going to be waste if my paper goes that high. So anyway, here's a little trick, because I cut these papers out thinking I was going to use a die. So I cut that cardstock like that and then ended up wanting to use a punch. So I'm going to use a little piece of sticky note here. I'm going to flip my punch over. I am right-handed, so I'm going to hold the punch in my right hand, which means I want to stick this through this way, which means I want to add some, I should put it up here, Post-it note here so that I have something to hold on to while I'm adjusting it in here. And I'm squeezing gently just to make sure it's lined up the way I want it, and adjusting some more, and then I'm going to squeeze. Now you'll see up here, there's just a little itty bitty bit that we're going to waste because of this other. There's one there. Then we can definitely reuse this. So we're going to do that. Oh, this might not work after all. Well, oh, yep, it will. Oh, cool. I thought maybe it would be too long this way that I'd have to cut some of this off, but nope, this is working. All right, so again, let's line this up and give it a punch. All right. So there are those. All right, so then we're going to glue these on. And our example had two going downward and one going upward. And I'm not sure that it really matters, but you could do it that way if you want. And then we have to see, oops, they're going the opposite way. The long one's on the left. And then, I don't know, on here, what do you think? I was going to throw I've got some linen thread to put on one of these, but I'm trying to decide which one to actually put it on. Let's see. How about if I do let's do this, I think. Because I think the linen thread will stand out better it'll actually stand out better on this one, but I don't want it in the middle. All right, we'll just do this. Okay, so we're going to rip. I'm going to rip. So I'm going to rip the bottoms of these off first. All right, I kind of have an idea how much I can rip off. And as they get longer, there's more. But and if you wanted to, you could, I think I'm going to put them on sideways a little bit. Anyway, you could glue them down first so that you definitely know where you want to rip. But I'm going to, because I'm right-handed, I'm going to rip toward me with my right hand. So I'm going to rip, and you want it to be imperfect. That's the idea. So that's going to be that one. And then this one's going up this way. So we'll make this one, but we still want it. I want to take about the same amount that I took off of here. I want to take the same amount off of that so that I keep them about the same lengths or the same difference of length that I started with, if that makes sense, because I still want them to be the steps. So this one is about here. And rip, rip, rip. Okay. So then that one's going down. Let's glue these on because they're driving me nuts. So just a little glue. I just kind of do the leaves, not even all of the leaves. And then I'll just do a little dot on the top of the stem here so they've got all of the bases covered. Let's put this one this way. And little glue here, there, and everywhere. Like I said, you don't need a ton of glue. Don't get caught up in the fact that you need a gob because it just squishes out and then makes a mess. So you don't need lots. Easy squeezy. And oh, I move my finger out of the way so I can get the stem here. And this one's going to go this way. All right. Then I'm going to glue these right to the tops of here. And then I'm going to make sure that I'm trying to center this way onto my early espresso. So these are just, and they started out all being the same. The early espresso lengths started being all out. Let me start again. Started out all being the same length just for ease of, because you really don't know how much you're going to tear off the bottom of there. So therefore, it's easier to just make them all the same until you get to ripping that layer. And one more of these. You know, I wasn't real thrilled, getting back to these colors. I wasn't overly thrilled with this mauve color for sure, but this whole in color collection when it first came out, now that I'm using it more and more, I'm really liking it. So I'm really kind of sad that it's going to go away. All right, so I'm going to leave myself a little space here. So I don't know, however much you feel like having. And then I'm going to rip again. And again, it doesn't have to follow the same exact line that your first one did. And just rip that one off, and again, you're just pulling toward you with your whichever dominant hand you rip with. Okay. But pulling toward you is the key to this, because that gives it, if you can see it mostly on the crumb cake one, but it gives you that rugged edge, if you will. All right, so these, let's see. I'm going to stamp my greeting. I think I'm going to stamp my greeting first, because my greeting is going to say, "Thank you so much." I think it says. If I didn't use both sides of the blocks, this wouldn't be an issue, right? All right, so stamp in the bottom corner. All right. And then I have a tip about cleaning these too, so stick with me to the end and I'll show you. So then, oops, I'm going to do, which one's the middle one? Yep, I'm going to do the middle one first. So therefore, I can sort of, you can use your grid paper for this, but really, yeah, it covers it up just a little bit, but that's okay. You can use your grid paper to kind of line up perfectly, but really, I don't know that it needs to be all that perfect. But now I can even the space between the one on the left and the edge of my card. Let's shimmy this over just a bit. And then this one. Same thing with this one. I'm going to try to even the space between these and this. And then I have, let's see, I've got some linen thread, and I'm going to double this. We'll see if this works. You know, nothing ever works when I'm trying to do it and the camera's rolling. So let's see. There's a little flaw in this linen thread right here. I think it adds a little character, so we're going to leave it in there. But, all right, so I've got it doubled, right? So we're going to pretend this is going to be a raw edge. And then these two down here are my other raw edge. And I'm going to make a loop. I'm going to tie this around here and bring it through. See how well that works? Oh dear. And then we can even out our bows a little bit. And then we can make one a little bit bigger or smaller, or pull some of this out. All right, once we have them kind of the way we like them, it was a little bit too much right over there. This one. Oops, wrong one. Pull this one back out. There we go. A little bit more. All right, once we have them where we want them, we are going to cut all 4 of the ends at one time. Now there's that loop from that one, so we want to make sure we cut that. And then we have kind of a double bow. And then I use glue dots, and we're gonna flip this up until we get to 1. I'm going to add my middle of my knot onto the dot and then peel it off. I'm going to put this right on my card. Well, there's that. Let me see if I can show you this one again. So that's what it looked like then. So a lot of the stuff is the same. I guess I could have made them these a little shorter. They didn't have to be quite so long. And then it probably wouldn't have covered up my thank you that I put on my new card as much. But here's this one again. And then here is, oh, wow. Going crazy with my, with my mouse here, trying to get you to see the right pictures. Okay, so this is the new one. I kind of like it. I think I might try and come in here and take a little bit more off of this. I probably can. Let's try this a minute. Because I never glue all the way to the very end. So in this particular case, I'm just using my fingernails and pulling out a little bit more. That one's got a little extra. And there. Oh, that's better. I like it much better now. Okay. These are the things that you get when you don't like practice before you go on your video. So you get all kinds of things. I was going to show you one more thing. Hold on. Let's jump back down here a sec. Didn't do it right. All right. Let's go with this. And I was going to show you, you know, I love my chamois. So I just discovered this, that, you know, there's a couple different uses for lots of things, but if I clean this off on here, sometimes you can't see it so well in this one. When I used black, let's do it with black. And a piece of scratch paper a second, just to prove my point. All right, so now I've got a bunch of ink in the crevices of my leaf here, and just doing this sometimes doesn't take it all out of the crevices. So if you find yourself like with your chamois, whether you use the thick one from Stampin' Up or whether you use the little cheater one that I have from the auto parts store that I mentioned, either way, if you find yourself digging down in there with your fingernails trying to get some ink out, consider using the Stampin' Scrub. I know this is one of those other old things that, now that the chamois has come out, I never use this anymore. But there's a wet side. It's got little drops of water in the corner there. And then there's a dry side, and this side's got a little sunshine in there. You use the Stampin' Mist, and you wet the wet side, and you magically, and if you kind of go in circles or scrub a couple different ways, and then this way too, it gets in all those crevices for you because that's what it's made for. Anyway, I just thought I would share yet another way back tip on how to clean your detailed, especially the detailed, but yeah, definitely the detailed stamps. So, all right. That went a little bit longer than I anticipated, and I apologize. Hopefully you will like this old tidbit and give it a try. And I'd like to see your samples that you make, your projects, in the comments, if you will. If you don't have a demonstrator, I would love to be yours. Just get in touch with me. If you're not on the email list, get on there. And then I'd also be happy to get you one of the new September through December mini catalogs. So either email me or private message me, whatever works for you. Until next time, thanks for watching.